I feel overwhelmed and unsure of how to continue. I feel so tired right now. What led me to believe I could accomplish this? These thoughts overwhelm me, halting my desire to engage in anything and leaving me with a profound sense of emptiness. Running a business was meant to empower me, yet lately it feels as though I'm caught in an endless marathon. Each morning, I wake up with a sense of fatigue, embarking on a series of tasks that feel endless. As the day unfolds, I navigate through it all, eventually finding my way back to bed, only to face the same cycle once more. The long hours seem to merge into one another, and the joy I once experienced has given way to an unrelenting cycle of toil. As I glance at my to-do list, I find myself reflecting on the weight of all these responsibilities and how much longer I can sustain this pace. The pressure to constantly perform and excel can feel incredibly heavy. After putting in 14-hour days for an entire week, I found myself reaching a breaking point. As I settled onto the couch, exhaustion all over me, and I drifted off, too weary to enjoy my favorite show. As Friday night arrived, I found myself reflecting on the challenges that had marked the week. In the silence of the office, the gentle sound of the computer filled the air, a solitary reminder of the work being done within those walls. As I gazed at the screen, a familiar sensation crept in. My eyes felt the strain of hours spent in concentrated thought. Throughout the week, I dedicated 14 hours each day, pushing through my fatigue, all in an effort to meet deadlines and ensure my clients were satisfied. My body ached, my thoughts were foggy, and each task seemed like a struggle through thick mud. The clock caught my eye, revealing that it was already 9:30 p.m. I had intended to be home hours ago, yet the work seemed to stretch on endlessly. I gently rubbed my temples, hoping to ease the headache that had been intensifying throughout the day. At last, I powered down my computer and stepped out towards the car. The journey home felt challenging, as my eyelids grew heavy and my mind wandered in countless directions. When I arrived home, my family was already tucked in, lost in their dreams. Exhaustion overcame me, and I found myself drifting off on the couch, too weary to even reach for the remote and turn on the TV. I found it difficult to muster the energy to watch my favorite show. The darkness enveloped me, and in that stillness, I sensed a profound emptiness within, as if I were merely a shadow of who I once was. The exhaustion was so profound that it felt like a heavy burden, anchoring me to the couch. I poured my heart and soul into my work, hoping my business could grow bigger. And in doing so, I found myself with little remaining for my own well-being or for my loved ones. A few weeks later, I found myself navigating another busy week. The effort required remained significant, and the timelines continued to be pressing. This time, I chose not to let it dominate my life. I paused for a moment, inhaled deeply, and stepped away from my desk. The refreshing coolness of the air embraced me, while the gentle warmth of the sun caressed my face as I stepped outside. I gently closed my eyes, allowing the weight of stress to melt away from my shoulders. I reminded myself, it's important to take a moment to rest. I find myself at a point where I can no longer continue down this path. I stepped back inside and took a moment to look at my calendar. Each day, I carve out an hour just for myself to unwind and find some peace. Silence all over me, a welcome respite from the constant buzz of emails and calls, allowing space for reflection and renewal. Initially, it seemed like a delightful indulgence, yet deep down, I understood its importance. I departed from work that evening at a reasonable hour. The journey back was serene, as the gentle hues of sunset brushed the sky with warmth and tranquility. As I entered the room, I noticed my family was still awake. The kitchen was filled with the comforting aroma of home-cooked meals and the sound of laughter as we gathered around the table for dinner. After dinner, I found myself on the couch beside my wife, sharing a quiet moment as we watched our favorite show together. In that moment, I truly felt engaged and connected, and for the first time in weeks, I found a sense of energy that allowed me to savor the experience. The room exuded warmth and comfort, the gentle glow of the TV enhancing its inviting atmosphere. Discovering the right balance between work and rest brought a profound sense of relief, as if a heavy burden had finally been eased from my chest. That moment transformed my perspective. I always found myself trapped in a relentless cycle of burnout, and I couldn't help but wonder why breaking free was proving to be such a challenge. The weight of stress settled heavily upon me, a relentless pressure to excel, to always be present, and to validate my worth in a fiercely competitive landscape. I believed that putting in more effort and time was necessary to stay on track. As I settled into the couch, feeling a sense of calm all over me, it dawned on me that rest is not merely a luxury. It is an essential part of our well-being. Rest is essential for my growth, much like how a tree relies on water to flourish. I had become so absorbed in growing my business that I lost sight of the importance of caring for myself. This thought resonated deeply with me. Embracing a mindful life requires moments of rest. When I've had enough sleep, I find myself feeling sharper, more creative, and truly present in the moment. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Rather, it reflects a need for change. I started the business to embrace freedom, not to find myself overwhelmed and exhausted. The essence of the matter lies here. I longed for a life where I could create something meaningful, rather than merely existing day to day. Rest is not merely a luxury. It is the essential foundation that sustains my journey. It provides me with the vitality to guide, reflect thoughtfully, and support those who rely on me. I once viewed resting as a weakness, believing I should only take them when absolutely necessary. However, that's not the way it operates. Rest is the fuel that sustains the engine's journey. I feel like I'm barely getting by, just holding on until everything comes to a halt. I discovered that stepping away for a moment allows me to return with renewed strength. In those quiet moments, I find myself being shaped, much like a river that gently slows to carve a deeper path through the earth. I began to realize that my most brilliant ideas often emerged during my walks in the fresh air. And I found that I could be more patient when I wasn't feeling depleted. It wasn't the long hours that troubled me. It was the difficulty I faced in parting from them. I believed that dedicating more hours at my desk would lead to improved results, yet it turned out otherwise. The harder I tried, the more I found myself with nothing left to offer. I chose to take a different path now. I started to incorporate short breaks into my daily routine, allowing myself the time to breathe, step outside, and simply exist in the moment. I remained steadfast in my views about them, much like I do with any other commitment I've made. Initially, it felt strange, as if I were succumbing to laziness. However, I began to observe the distinction. My work didn't decline. It improved. With clarity in my mind, I found the ability to focus and tackle challenges effectively. My family witnessed it as well. I was no longer just a ghost drifting through the house. I was truly being present with them in that moment.